So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today I want to show you what I call the Index Carrier build for Rhino. Now this build is designed to unsurprisingly carry a lot of index points. It's basically an Iron Skin overkill build. It allows you to carry a lot of index points without the worry of being killed and the enemy picking up and cashing in your index points because your Iron Skin is incredibly strong. And it makes the index, or at least the low and medium versions of it, as stress-free as possible. It can be really effective in the high-risk version as well, but at least in my opinion, the difficulty spike you get by going from medium to high isn't really worth the extra credits. Now, the build itself is actually fairly expensive. It is a 4 Forma build, and what you want to do with that Forma is change the V in the aura slot into a dash and then add 3 Vs. Now, the aura I'm using is Corrosive Projection, and this is the best aura you can use for the index, because especially if you go medium or high, you will start to notice the enemy armor going up really fast as you cash in sort of 50-ish points, and this reduces their armor by quite a bit, so you want to have this on as many people as possible. Now, you don't necessarily need this if you just want to do the low and medium risk versions. So if you're a little bit short on Forma, you can keep the V in there and use something like Rifle Amp, Shotgun Amp, or even Steel Charge. And this will bump the build down to just 3 Forma. Then I've also added Enemy Sense, which gives you a 30-meter enemy radar. And this was actually suggested by Mr. Crasher J on the Index Credit Farming video. And this was a great suggestion, so thank you very much, because being able to see the enemies on the minimap is really good. You can either go after them to get more points, or you can avoid them if your Iron Skin is a little bit low and you just want to cash in the points and refresh your Iron Skin. He also pointed out the downside of this build, which is if you get into an arena and there is Jat Terran wearing a null helmet, he'll be able to dispel your Iron Skin, which is really bad because even though you have a lot of armor, you are pretty squishy without your Iron Skin. And finally, even though I like to run around with like 30 index points because I'm a moron, it is not a good idea. You should never really go above 15 because it can make you lose. If you die, the enemy picks them up and cashes all of them in. After that, I'm using 4 power strength mods, so Transient Fortitude, then Blind Rage, that's 2 ranks from the top, and this is just because I only have 1 Blind Rage and I don't want the negative efficiency for other builds, so you can max it out. Then I'm using Energy Conversion, which is a mod you can get from Cephalon Cimeris for 100,000 standing, and this will give you 50% bonus power strength for your next ability after you pick up an Energy Orb. And this works really well because you pretty much have to pick up an energy orb to cast Iron Skin, so you will always have the bonus power strength. And finally, we have Intensify, which is just a flat power strength bonus. After that, I'm using Iron Shrapnel, which is an augment that allows you to detonate your Iron Skin. And while you can use this for emergency crowd control every now and then, I use it to refresh my Iron Skin. But this only really works if you're not carrying any index points, because the more index points you carry, the more energy they will drain from you. And this is just a really convenient way of refreshing Iron Skin, so you don't have to run into the enemies and make them chop off your Iron Skin and then hope you don't die and then run for an energy orb, pick it up and cast Iron Skin. You just run up to an energy orb, blow off your Iron Skin, pick up the orb, and you're back to 100% without any real risk of dying. After that, I'm using Fleeting Expertise, which is very important because if you don't have it, you will have to pick up 2 energy orbs to cast Iron Skin because of Blind Rage. And finally, I'm using Armored Agility for a little bit of sprint speed and some armor, and Steel Fiber for even more armor. And that's pretty much it for the build. As I've said already, this makes even the medium risk investment fairly easy because the enemies don't really do enough damage to your Iron Skin until you cash in enough points. But most of the time, you already won by the time they start to become threatening, which is around the 50-point mark. So yeah, the build is a little bit expensive. It's 4 Forma if you want to go with Corrosive Projection, or 3 Forma if you don't, but it is definitely worth it. It makes the index fairly stress-free, as I've said already, which is great because the index is an amazing credit farm. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching, as always, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.